Okay, next we have Todd Boyle.
I was in the Navy from 70 to 72. I did not serve in any war. This story is entitled Clarity Blur. The killing went on every day. The papers were full of why. Everybody knew it was senseless slaughter for money, power, and pride. The teachings of our nuns in elementary school: we are all children of God, we are all brothers and sisters, your heart is a temple of God, and He lives in every human being. Now go figure that out. And the whole Catholic Church supporting war and business as usual. I quit going to church or listening to them when I was 15. I quit the Catholic high school and went to Central High. 18, eyes like a hawk. You could call this clarity. And a mind so quick to see, take the measure of things, and oh yes, to decide. A mind unburdened by experience. Yet senior year was a blur. You had clarity, but everything was disjointed. Powerful feelings, sharp perceptions, but nothing connected with the last thing, or the next thing. Everything seemed to contradict the thing before. Memory became a blur. 1970, the country turned upside down, assassinating its politicians, crowds of people torching the downtowns, fleets of bombers killing people in Vietnam, the nightmarish Nixon and his megalomania, his words, all those wrong words, and no escape from those words. 4 dead in Ohio. By that time, life was a blur. In Phoenix, stoned on bags of cheap Mexican pot, liquor so abundant our alcoholic parents never missed the vodka we stole. Woke up one morning and it was graduation day. 3,000 kids in my high school. I couldn't name you 5 of them today. It was anonymity, lost in the crowd. Graduating class on the football field, parents filling the bleachers. Our valedictorian was Malcolm X. The next was Che Guevara. The parents went nuts. Fistfights erupted out in the stands. A fog of marijuana smoke drifted from the students waiting for our diplomas. The principal glared at us helpless. By the time I got my diploma, there was general disorder there. I hopped the fence and got in my pickup, went home and got my stuff and moved out. I rented a house. I can't remember much after that. Had a lot of fun that summer. One of my roommates was a guy named Phil, who was a Vietnam vet, and he had the look that I now know is called the 1,000-mile stare. He was a ranger, and he spent time behind the lines calling in bomber strikes. And then he always had to go in afterwards and do body counts and assess the damage. So he described a lot of terrible things, like the Vietnamese walking around with brain damage, with blood from their ears and so forth. And never there would be anybody who was functioning, no functioning fighters after the B-52 strikes. But I had a lot of fun that summer. My girlfriend had my baby, but I couldn't find work. Somebody said Navy. I went there. The recruiter was such a nice guy. An electronic technician I would be, yes, but you have to sign up for 6 years. Okay. Enlistment day. Arrived San Diego. Walk into the Navy's reception room in the airport, I knew something was wrong. Everybody looked real unhappy. Nobody was talking. A man shouted at me, "Hey, stupid, get in line over there." Already the insults and degrading treatment started, of course. By day 2, my mind had kind of made itself up to resist and escape. And this was like the only trick I knew. It was the appropriate adaptation for me. Boot camp itself was a ridiculous joke. Every day another outrage. "You maggots, you worms, you flunkies, give me 50 push-ups." Obviously their goal was to kind of overwhelm us into some sort of permanent submission. Subhuman. The whole thing was so stupid. I knew the officers must be awful stupid to think that we were so stupid, The poor guys who rebelled outright got manhandled and shoved out the door and kept in torture positions and holding rifles out and everything, and did endless push-ups, ran endless laps. I was glad when boot camp ended. Hitchhiked out the gate one day. I ended up getting beat up and sodomized. This was not the way my country promised it would be. Depressed for months, actually. But actually, I feel it was a stage of alienation. It was a final stage of alienation I was going through. I never did talk to anybody about it. I was so ashamed. I never even called the police or anything. I became Yossarian. I told them I was a conscientious objector. They said, "Get out of here and go back to class." So I'd go to sick bay every day, and the same deal. "Get out of here, Boyle." The classes were a joke. They never gave me electronic technician. You couldn't apply for conscientious objection, that, they weren't taking applications. So as soon as I arrived in San Diego, they made me a sonar operator, you see. But I still had to stay in for 6 years. The classes were absolutely simple. Experiment with a battery and a wire, and a light bulb. I was a general class ham operator. I could have taught these classes. They lied to me about the training. All the sonar gear was sealed in black boxes. If it broke, you install a new module. There's no engineering. I woke up in submarine school in New London, Connecticut. More insults, more senseless discipline, domination and submission. I began to recognize this pattern in everything. Most of the other guys drank the Kool-Aid. Bunch of fascists. The chief of the Navy was Admiral Zumwalt. His orders were pretty bizarre. We could grow a beard, and we could wear our dungarees. They were relaxing discipline. And this guy ordered Agent Orange to be used in Vietnam. He was actually quite a militarist. Everybody was calling his orders Z-grams, and they all had a number, I think they're out in the archive somewhere. But, ironically, his son died from cancer, who fought in Vietnam. He died from, most people believe, from the Agent Orange. Well, one day in 1971, there was a notice on the bulletin board for Z-gram 94, Drug Amnesty Program. And in fine print at the bottom, you would either be sent to treatment or discharged. Discharged. I ran to the personnel house. I applied. I was like the second guy on the base. The first guy was a super brainy kind of Jewish guy, way over my head. We didn't talk that much. He got out in only a couple weeks, so I think they transferred him real quickly. But there was a form. Marijuana, amphetamines, LSD, barbiturates. What are barbiturates? Check the box, Anyway, somehow I got a hold of copies of this form, and I went around giving them to everybody. And others joined in. By the time I got out of there was 2 barracks full of Z-gram 94 applicants. And the other guys really escalated it because, you had to get out. You couldn't just be recoverable, You couldn't be reconcilable. So they destroyed the barracks and punched out the walls. There's paint and graffiti everywhere. Fire extinguisher fights, those great big soda acid fire extinguisher cans, and totally wiped out all the paint and everything, burned the metal up. And actually, I couldn't relate to these people. I didn't like them, I shaved my head, and then they hated me, I was regarded as a space alien. Imagine being rejected by the Z-94 barracks. Now, that is alienation, So, 6 months later, guys were getting out, and I was stuck here in the stupid barracks. And, they sent me to a ship and so on. But finally, after 6 months of captain's mast and transfers, the swinging doors finally swung open for the last time, and I found myself again a free man. As free as you can be at 19, with $200 and an airplane ticket. That is, free to find another slot in the indentured servitude to America. Free to find a job, find a place to sleep before you run out of money. That's my story.